Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's REBORN.com with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Not Picard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Hey! Pat Street's back. All right. How you doing, buddy? I can't hear you all of a sudden now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Did you hear me say the Full Force Weekly?
I did. We heard the Full Force Weekly,
Okay.
and then you just disappeared.
Yeah, I'm working on a new microphone, so testing that out. It actually decided to mute on me. That's a first.
Auto mute is on now, is it?
Yeah,
that's amazing, dude. It's great to have you back. It feels like it's been about 4 weeks.
It's been about a month. Yeah,
5 weeks.
It's been about a month.
Crazy, man. Since you were last on. Hope everyone's happy to see Pat back. Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. Yeah, in the chat. Jump in the chat. Let us know what's going on. We're going to take you through a week's worth of news in about an hour and a quarter's time. I say that, but it's probably going to be about 7 hours, Pat. We've got so much to talk about. We'll throw in a little bit of chat about the Super 7 mothership in the shout-outs together. So you don't have to, for those that think we're at the end of the show and just like stop watching, we are going to have a little chat about the Super 7 mothership because Pat I haven't seen you to talk about it, mate, have I?
I know, it's been crazy. It's like the news that I've been waiting for, like O-Ring G.I. Joe, and I'm just not here.
Well, that was mainly my fault for being absolutely rammed for the last however many weeks it's been. Anyway, thanks for everyone in the chat already. Loads of people pouring in. Diana says, who's that stranger with the glasses? That would be Pat, Not Picard Stewart. Back in the house, everybody. People seem to be happy that you're back. Rexship says, glad you're still here too, Chris. Lol. Thanks. Appreciate it. I like the lol bit at the end, as if you don't really think that. Anyway, lots to talk about. Quite surprisingly, we've had some last minute additions from this morning as well, which again is right up your street in the kind of 4-inch department.
That is true.
Pat's 4-inch department. See, I'm more of a 12-inch fan. I'm not at all. I just wanted to say that. Anyway, right, let's get on with it then. Lots of news to talk about. And the first bit of news is that Hasbro have announced yet another 1027 event. On Monday, Hasbro announced that there would be yet another Pulse Premium 1027 collector event on the 27th of October, of course. The annual event has been going for a few years now, and it was no surprise that they revealed plans for yet another show, which will give them even more opportunities to show off new product and drop some pre-orders, of course. The event kicks off at 3 PM EST, and you will need to be a premium Pulse member in order to get the invite for the YouTube stream. You can grab an invite by following the link in the description. Yeah, so go follow that description, yo. Anyway, 1027. This is now it's the annual kind of premium collector event thing now, where they've kind of somehow made a pre-order and product reveal event out of it, Pat. Are you excited for this one?
They've been doing a good job with their streams. Wow, you know what? I haven't been on since the last PulseCon. I haven't been on since then.
Wow.
Yeah, I liked PulseCon. I liked some of the changes. So I'm curious to see, and there were some changes that I kind of missed. There weren't any celebrities this year, I noticed.
Well, you could count Dan Larson, and
I was going to say I would count them as like legit fans, kind of turned into celebrities, and I appreciated them hosting.
Yeah,
a lot, much more than people that didn't seem to know much about toys. It was nice to have them on.
Right.
I'm just what I'm getting at is I'm curious to see if there are any changes also to 1027.
Yeah, well, one thing I am aware of is that I think Hasbro are going to have a presence at MCM London coming up. So, like last year, they did as well. And remember, we had Big Ben revealed, and we had the Valkyries revealed, and stuff like that. So, I think there's going to be a presence from Hasbro at MCM London, which is actually the same weekend that 1027 is. And I'm wondering if it's going to be there's going to be more pre-recorded than live. Kind of strikes me they might do a bit of pre-recorded stuff on this one.
That would make sense, and that's fine. It seems like some of the stuff that they've been doing for some of the reveals anyway have shifted from being live to being pre-recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we can't really talk 1027 without really talking about what we could see from 1027. So I thought we'd do like basically a what's the word? A kind of preview of the event. Diana says it's usually pre-recorded, isn't it? Actually, I think you're right. I think the first year might have been live, because I remember Mr. Stevie being in the studio, walking around and talking and interacting with comments and stuff like that. So I know for a fact that he was live that first year. Then the second year, this is the third year they've done it, or the fourth?
I can't remember. I think this might only be the third.
Well, see, I remember
this is the fourth.
He was in the studio. I remember that, like walking around and talking and everything, and then would go on to like different brand teams and stuff like that. And then I remember another one where they revealed, I want to say it was like the Alley Viper and the Bat. And I remember they had Tom Whalen on, and they interviewed Tom Whalen, the artist, for the Alley Viper artwork. And they had things like that going on. So I can't think if it's 3 or 4, but anyway, there's been a few of them. And like in those, sometimes they do name only reveals. They do I'm not sure if have they done digital renders. They probably have done digital render reveals, and they've done like pre-order drops as well. So I think we're probably likely to see something along those lines again here.
Yeah, I don't think that we'll get any vintage 2-up reveals like we've gotten in the past. But I wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, so I think first up, we've got to talk about the Vamp. This is the elephant in the room, I would say, because this one and the SMS with the Techno Viper, these two kind of like vehicle sets have been out in the render universe since SDCC. So like there's a possibility, I think, that maybe these could be up for pre-order at 1027. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I do. I think that getting us a Vamp as soon as possible to go with the HISS tanks that will inevitably come as soon as possible would be nice.
Yeah, the HISS tanks are just around the corner, man. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. They've got to create room.
Excited, but also terrified to see how big that box is going to be.
I can see myself leaving it in the box for a while, just because sometimes when our things are that big, it just feels like, well, I'm going to be into this for a few hours and I don't have time tonight. I'm busy doing something. So
it's not something you can quickly bust out, throw the stickers on, and away you go. It's not like an actual HISS tank. This is like getting an IKEA flat pack and being like, oh, I suppose I better build a wardrobe at some point when as your clothes pile up by the side of the boxes that you haven't got broken into yet. No, I know what you're saying on that one. I definitely think we'll see. I feel like we'll see Clutch and the Vamp, definitely. With the SMS and the Techno Viper, I think they're also, because like my thought process, right, is that, do you remember when they revealed Copperhead and the Python Officer 2.0? I think it was SDCC. They revealed them as renders at the same time. And lo and behold, they were both Poe and Dahl. Like we had like the internal code words and everything, but we didn't know that they were the ones. It turned out they were. So now I'm thinking that you'll start seeing those patterns of like, and we have kind of seen the patterns of name only, digital render, product. We have that's been the way it's gone. And with just a few variations where some things have drifted out a little bit or some things have appeared a bit sooner. For the most part, there's a pattern that emerges. And I wonder if the Vamp and the SMS might come round about the same time. 1027 is a good shout. MCM London's another good shout. But I think either way, I think we're going to be seeing these sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I've got to think that they would want to give this to us closer to the Vamp coming out, because it's like you want both of those around the time of the hiss.
Yeah.
But also, I think a G.I. Joe MMS is something that shouldn't take too long for them to make. And if everybody already has the vamp, I don't know. It would make sense. We haven't heard anything of that, I don't think, or seen any reveals. But
No,
we haven't. I don't think it'll be long.
I don't think. I think you're right, and it'd be really good to get like a Hawk or someone like that, kind of like that version of Hawk. You know, would be kind of cool to kind of drop into like the old school, the OG 13 and stuff. Diana's asked, why heat, Pat? Can you explain?
I have no idea, but it's always been that way.
Yeah, it's always been a double E, hasn't it? I like Auntie Jam as well, which is
maybe it's on the blueprints, old blueprints.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's true. Quick, have a look. If only there was a way to find out. I'm gonna quickly go to. It's the SMS, isn't it? Basically for the Sears one. Let's see if it's there. Yeah. Thanks, Carson at 3D Joe's. By the way, does it say anything about heat seek? I'm pretty sure it copies the same blueprints as the original, doesn't it? With maybe some of the what do you call it? I can't see anything on there that would say HEET.
No, me neither. It just says heat seek, high explosive missiles. I don't know why.
Interesting. Maybe it's just a bit like, you know, being cute, being markety and fun with the words. I like Auntie Jam because that sounds like Auntie Jan, my auntie. So shout out to Auntie Jan. Your name is also now on a G.I. Joe vehicle. Anyway, so okay, those are two pretty like possible options, I think, with 1027. There's another one in there that we're going to be talking about in the next news segment, which is related to classified. So we'll hold off to talking about what the figure and pets, which you know what I'm talking about, but we'll get there in a few moments. Also, obviously, we've got Metalhead. This isn't what I did was my thought process here, Pat. They're not going to be revealing a 5-figure mainline wave on 1027. They've never done that. It's not. There's no precedent for it. It's always like the odd thing here or there. I think one year it was just they put up Serpentor and Mindbender again. They name dropped Chuckles. So it wasn't like I can't even remember what else was on that one from last year. But it wasn't like there wasn't like a lot of product. So I don't expect it to be it's not going to be a PulseCon thing. We've just had a 5-figure mainline revealed. So what that meant from my perspective was to remove characters like Big Boa, who's mainline, Quick Kick, Airborne, and I think that was it. So like I didn't want to, they're obviously out there in the ether, but also they're not going to be shown off based on that principle.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, just want to make sure you're on the same wavelength as why I've chosen these. Metalhead, though, I don't know, sounds like we could be getting a pre-order for this guy again on that weekend. And I think it's a toss-up between 1027 and again, I think they're going to be doing something at MCM London as well. So again, like with that and the fact that it's on the same weekend, I mean, is it going to be another ridiculous weekend, Pat? Are we going to be drowning in stuff again, do you think?
I don't think so. It doesn't seem like in the past that they've put up that much stuff or revealed as many things at either of those events than they have at other places. I think MCM London, we did learn about some other licensees, though. I think that was like the first thing that we learned.
There was a lot of good stuff out of that. Obviously, we got the
like some loyal subject stuff, maybe.
Yeah. We got the
domes or something.
Domes, my goodness, yeah. I found that. I've got that set. There's a set of 4 of them that I found the other day digging through some stuff. But the NCM London one, they did a name drop for Shadow Tracker at that point. They did a name drop for Mole Rats. And then we went the longest time not knowing what a mole rat was. It was hilarious. Yeah. We were all like, what is a mole rat? Like people thought they were going to be pack rats. Then there was the whole zombie viper kind of leak, which turned out to just be the mole rats. I just got to get like throwback nostalgia for a year.
And none of the things you chose are any sort of exclusive, right?
I don't think so. Not that we're aware of, anyway. I mean, Metalhead, I think, is just a deluxe, so that will be the classic, wherever Hasbro Pulse and wherever fine toys are sold kind of scenario. And who else have I got on here? I think I threw in the retro card backs, but only I probably shouldn't. Well, they're not Walmart anymore, you see. So because they're not Walmart exclusive, I thought, well, maybe we might see a possible Scarlet, Recondo, or Duke situation as pre-orders. Any thoughts? Do you think we might see those, or do you think they're a bit further out?
I have really no guess, to be honest. Lately, some of the stuff that's been up for pre-order is stuff that's shipping in like a week or two.
Buzzer, for example.
Fast.
Man. Yeah. That was crazy. I was not expecting, and also just one figure from the 5-figure wave. Just here you go. This one, you get this one 7 months early, and then you get the others in 2027. I hope that's okay. And Super Science saying no 60th. Yeah, because it's the 60th anniversary, so that'll be next year. We've seen render reveals, but I doubt we'll see pre-orders until the actual year of the 60th. Pat, would you concur with that, or do you think we might see some early?
There's a possibility, but I kind of like the way that you've narrowed things down to try to be a more of a focus of what has a better chance, like what our guesses are as to what the best chances for the things that would be.
Yeah, that's me thought process. Anyway, yeah, cool. So I would, after looking through all of them, I think Metalhead's a good bet. I think the SMS and the Techno Viper are a good bet, and I think the Vamp and the Clutch are a really good bet for this one. And that's kind of but again, I'm kind of lumping the weekend together in both those events as well, because I don't know, how much we're going to see at 1027. I don't know if we're going to see anything at MCM London. I think it would be likely, considering they had such a heavy presence last year, including a panel as well. So yeah, fingers crossed they do another panel, because that would mean lots of reveals and lots of cool stuff to be kind of checking out too. Hey there, Chris. Can I hear your best Buzzer impersonation? I can't think of anything he says off the top of my head right now. So no. It's the same as Thrasher's probably. So just assume that it's
is that it for every character? Yeah. Every Dreadnought is just Thrasher, even Zartan.
Yeah, Zartan is Savannah. They're all the same. They're all exactly the same. Which is funny, because actually, when you really break down the Dreadnought's voices, Torch is like a raspy, deep voice. Ripper and Buzzer are quite high pitched and shrill. And Monkey Wrench and Thrasher are quite distinctive, but Buzzer and Ripper are just like screaming at you, because it was Latta, wasn't it? It was Chris Latta, and it was oh god, who was the other one that played? I don't remember. I think it was Ripper. I think Latta played Buzzer, and Ripper was Latta, and Buzzer. I'm getting confused, aren't I? Anyway, I'll move on.
Yeah, Ripper played Buzzer. You're very confused.
Okay, next up then, and kind of related a little bit to 127, is a bit of news about HISS tanks and Mutton Junkyard.
On Wednesday, Jedi Jaybird on Twitter informed us that more HISS tanks and Mutton Junkyard figures were arriving on US shores courtesy of shipping information. The info uses the internal code words Whitman for the HasLab HISS and Dastardly Pet for Mutton Junkyard, which we can confirm to be accurate. This makes you wonder if we will see pre-orders for the latest figure and pet quite soon, with 1027 and MCM London right around the corner.
Yeah, it's like a plan all this, isn't it? Everything sounds like what I've just said previously. Like I scripted the whole thing. I haven't really. I make all this crap up in the... it's a nice segue in it, Ben. There you go. Ben just said, so not sure if you covered this already or if you were going to or not, but do we have an idea for release date for HISS tanks? And then that video hit. Perfect, isn't it really? Yes, so Pat and I were kind of discussing this beforehand, weren't we, bud? HISS tanks, we'll start with that first, and then we'll move on to Mutton Junkyard. But the HISS tank... it's got to be very close, hasn't it?
Yeah. I'm thinking that probably their approach to sending out all the HIS tanks would be to try to get as many of them over by boat as possible on multiple trips, warehouse them, and then ship them out, because it would really stink to have somebody else get theirs and yours still either be on the boat or not even on the boat yet.
Yeah, they've done that, I think, with a lot of their... it feels like they do that with the HasLab campaigns, doesn't it? Because it's very, like, you'll see, like, all of them coming in and people posting that they're getting it and everything like that, but it's all within, like, a week or so. It's not... You don't see, like, months and months of that dragging on, where you do with some other figures. But obviously it makes sense with the HasLab because, like, I think there's so much money goes down from people that they feel that they need to really get it out there as soon as possible for everybody. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And they have been hitting shores now for a number of months, according to the shipping information, which is sort of behind a paywall, I think, most of the time. I remember a long time ago. Do you remember the first year, mate, when it was like the first year of Classified, when it was Dung Beetle and Carpenter Ant and Tarantula and all those internal code words? I remember shipping manifests coming through from, I forget the website, but it's one where you get like you have to pay for it to get the information. It's public, like, you know, available for the public, but it's still behind a paywall to kind of get it. So I remember that kind of information was going around, and they would just have lists and lists of text, and in there would be, you know, your code words, and you'd be digging them out and trying to find out what was there. So that's effectively what's been going on with Jedi Jaybird and the information he's been sharing. So it's really cool that we can, Whitman is the internal code word for the HIS tank, and Dastardly Pet, as we're aware, is the name for Mutton Junkyard. Now, for Mutton Junkyard, I think we've covered everything there for HIS tanks. They're going to be, let's face it, they're going to be soon, because in the interview I did with Emily and Lenny, she said, let's do a second part of the interview in like early to mid-November. So because that's when, you know, she would nod, wink, winked that the HIS tanks would be shipped out.
Yeah.
Sorry. And also, Diana said Neil Ross was the other voice actor. Thank you, Diana. That's who I was trying to think. It was Neil Ross and Latta that did those Ripper and Buzzer voices. Neil Ross Buzzer, Frank Welker Torch, Chris Latta Ripper. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. It's funny as well because I'm doing a video about Torch and I had to write that exact frigging thing out, and I never retain information, obviously. Mutton Junkyard, then. Could you see? I mean, this to me screams that weekend, the 1027, the MCM London. I think we could see this one because we've seen the figure is done. Like, we've seen it. It's now shipping into US shores. It seems like this has got to be sooner again rather than later.
I think that sounds for sure. Like, things are just adding up that way. It would be weird to me to think that they would bring this to shore and not also put it available for sale, and then to have to warehouse it and wait for something else to come over. No, it would make sense to me to get this up sooner rather than later.
Do you know, that actually brings me to another talking point there, Pat, that you just kind of like opened in my brain. You know how, like, we've seen a lot of product going to like clearance recently, loads of it, right?
Yeah, that's why I opened with
Ollie's. Amazing. I wish I'd noticed what that was. I thought you were just like reading the weekly newspaper.
No, it was Ollie's, and it was...
Oh, phenomenal. Yeah. So we've seen a lot of this recently. Now, I'm going to put like 16 and 12 together and get 3005. Emily mentioned that they have effectively squeezed a year's worth of product into 6 months of distribution, right? And when you talked about the warehouse scenario then, it's pretty obvious and clear to me what's going on here. They have, because there's a few items that have been going direct to clearance rather than even showing up in a store or anything like that. What I think has happened is because of that attempt to get on top of everything and to squeeze everything out, to get everything in, to get it all, delivered, I feel like they've had to clearance a load of stuff out of warehouse, get it out of the way so that all this other stuff can come in.
That's what it feels like to me, and it's probably the reason why we're getting this stuff at clearance so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not awful that in order to get me my HISS tank I already paid for, you have to sell a bunch of GI Joes to me potentially for $5. I'll do that. I still have not seen a single Crimson Guard.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've seen one. I've seen a Python Crimson Guard, but I've never seen a regular Crimson Guard. I've never seen the only one. In fact, the only ones I have seen would be easier to say: Rock and Roll, and I think Shipwreck. I think that's it. I think they're the only two I've seen.
Not at clearance, though. Have you?
No, on shelves in general. Just
okay. No, I'm talking
out.
about clearance. A bunch of people are reporting that the $5 includes Crimson Guards.
Damn.
And so far, I've only seen Dusty, Zorana. And Stalker and Tomax and Zaymot.
Yeah.
And the Snake Eyes movie wave. Like
a million
cases
times.
and cases of those.
Yeah. What about, and Fortnite's been showing up as well, hasn't it? And Sarge.
Yeah. I got a Sarge and a Fortnite, but I didn't find those myself. A local friend found them. So Fortnite Snake Eyes, $20. Sarge, like $12 or $13.
I also wonder if that's why there was an early price decrease on Grunt randomly that then went straight back up to $24.99.
I don't think so. I think that they got confused as to which wave Grunt was in and Dusty was in. Because
that's a good shout.
Dusty didn't get clearanced out with the rest of his wave, and then Grunt of the next wave did.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the fact that they were quite transparent in their error with the trouble bubble pricing. It could be that this is the problem, isn't it?
Maybe the code names are getting them confused.
This is a logistical nightmare you're dealing with when you're trying to, get all of this stuff out. Like it would be hard enough right now if you just had a regular rhythm, like good rhythm of a year with the amount of products still that they churn out. Even in a year, that's a lot of stuff. Like
it is.
You're kind of at the that peak kind of Marvel Legends period where there was like retro Spider-Man, there was, regular Marvel Legends, movie waves, and it was just constant for like about a year. There was just Marvel Legends every week being revealed. And it kind of feels that almost like not the power dynamic has shifted, but it feels that way with Classified, doesn't it? Like it's just all the time.
Yeah, honestly, it has become. I have become very overwhelmed with it, and have not been. It's been a down point for me for the entire line. Like not only is the 6-inch scale not for me, but the rate that they're coming out is especially not for me. Even if it was a matter of, not a matter of money, it's just the matter of collection maintenance and just constantly getting these things in and almost feeling like a glutton.
Glutton free. Yeah. I'm very in a similar boat to you. Obviously, I do like the Classified series. I'm well into the scale and everything, but I've had to stop completely. I mean, there are other factors involved. Buying a house, for one. That's quite important.
Yeah.
And that takes precedent. And then when we're in a better position following that, then I'll probably get back into the swing of things with Classified. But there's this kind of situation at the moment where even if we weren't buying a house, I would be like, I don't think I can deal with this. I went to the UK, like to visit the family, and I go to see Nick at In Demand Toys, and he's like, oh yeah, I just got all these in. And it was like about, I don't know, I must have done about 7 unboxings with double unboxings every episode. Like it was insanity. So like I'm also overwhelmed, trust me. And it got to the point where it's just like, okay, I'm going to take a step back. Obviously, I'm still going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the reveals. I'm going to enjoy the product from a distance at the moment. But at this stage, it's just so much, man. It is next level amounts of things. Mr. Cheeseburger has some 1027 predictions. Raptor, Crystal Ball, Bench Press, Sci-Fi, Frostbite, next wave for sure. That is a deep bunch of cuts there, Mr. Cheeseburger. What do you think of that lineup there, Pat? For
I'd really be curious to see what they would do with a Crystal Ball shield at this point.
Hell yeah. Lenticular, or do you think an actual working TV screen.
No, I don't see it being lenticular, so I wonder if it would have some sort of... Yeah, I don't know. They would have to put some effort into that shield to make it do more than just be a lenticular, I think.
What they could do is have the pattern on it and have it spin on the point of the connection.
That would be really cool. If they
Wouldn't
could
that
get
be
like
wicked?
Yeah, if they could get like some good bearings in there.
Yeah.
You know, and make it actually spin well. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a way to go.
That'd be dope. Thank you, Mr. Cheeseburger. That's fun. Yeah, anyway, sorry, there's loads of comments. Oh my god. Where is Grunt on clearance? He's not anymore, Paisano777. It was an early kind of situation where he just appeared for like $11.99 or 11 something, I think it was. And then like after about, it was a decent amount of time, and then after a while he went back up to $24.99. So it was weird. Dusty Grunt, isn't there a difference, says the Figure Six Pack. They're not the same. Grunt was a price error at Target that's been fixed now, says Todd. Yeah, okay. We kind of insinuated it was probably an error. But
it'd be nice if it was the error that I'm guessing, if they would clearance out those Dusties, because that's all that's at my Target.
Yeah,
I've seen Dusty.
I've seen a lot of Dusties as well. Love the pets. I want to see some new pets added to the line, like a penguin with one of the Arctic characters. A monkey would be a fun pet for one of the Dreadnoks. That sounds amazing. I love that, Slave. That's amazing. Crystal Ball will be next year's SDCC exclusive, says Charlotte. That would be pretty cool. I got Grunt at GameStop, says Ben. I got Grunt at In Demand Toys. Thank you, Nick. He was one of the many figures I picked up in the UK when I was out there. Cool. Right. Still waiting for Grunt to come down in price for real. You might be waiting a little while longer for that, but you never know. The rate at which, as we've just been discussing, this stuff is going through, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of other stuff that is even more recent starts hitting clearance just so they can, get that space. Which is funny, isn't it? It's like Johnny B54 has put a funny comment. He says, Chris, blink twice if Classified HasLab 3 in the works. Blink 3 times if you know what it is. I'm not blinking at all, Johnny, because I have no clue.
You're not allowed to blink the rest of the episode now, though.
I know, I'm just going to be like this, sweating. I'm going to say I have no idea if there's a third HasLab coming. I assume there would be, but probably next year.
You did blink twice while you said that, though.
Did I? Sugar plums. I'm just going to blink 3 times then. I know what it is. I don't know what it is. Anyway, this is not about the HasLab conversation. We're like, oh, by the way, apologies that the monthly's been on hiatus for a couple of months. We will get back to it in November. It's just we're in a difficult period of getting availability sorted. So we'll get back on it. Apologies for no monthlies, but it does spread our opportunity to talk a bit more about cool things on the monthly. Anyway, Ben Tatum says it's the Defiant. Now we're talking HasLabs. It's not the Defiant. It's the Buzzball, Charlotte. Absolutely. That's what it is. Whale HasLab confirmed. I love how this rumors start from just jokes. And I guarantee some sort of HasLab rumor will be out by the end of the day as if like that's a real thing. Anyway, that is His Tank and Mutton Junkyard. Let's move on to the... we've got 2 more big stories to talk about, Pat. And the first one is MEZCO related.
Earlier in the week, MEZCO Toys posted a teaser image promising a pre-order drop for their upcoming 112 Collective Duke figure, which we first saw in the MEZCO display cabinet at SDCC. Well, they did drop pre-orders on Wednesday and a bucket load of promo images as well, so let's get stuck in, shall we?
Yeah, let's get stuck in, shall we? MEZCO Toys dropped the 112 Collective Duke. Excuse me. We saw this figure in the display cabinet at SDCC and got like a mixed reception, but it wasn't the final kind of figure anyway. But what are your thoughts, Pat, seeing this one for the first time?
The first time that I saw it, I was more focused on the uniform and what that looked like, and it looks, pretty good. But the face sculpt is not good.
It's interesting, isn't it? I've got to admit, it's a different take, absolutely. What I think was the most out, and again, this could change in the final production, but what I noticed was the eyes seem to be quite not they're far apart anyway in the sculpt, but the dots are too far to the outside of the eyes, so it looks really wide. And I think we'll see another shot in a sec. These ones look great, by the way.
He
These
looks really, really angry or overwhelmed a little bit.
Evil. He kind of looks evil there.
He does look a little evil. Yeah.
It's like,
and that's why it's not working. I'm not like making fun of the sculpting skill. I just don't think that this is sculpted to look like Duke.
No, I definitely get what you're saying there. There's like a for me, like I've got to say that other than the eyes, I don't think I'd have a problem with it. It's just though the eyes and the way they're painted seems to be really wide. And what I'll show you image-wise, these look great actually. These images right here look really good. I'm quite into these head sculpts. This one where he's kind of yelling, and this one where he's kind of, even though he looks a little bit mischievous, it's this one that kind of has me going, those like the pupils are too, like one of them's definitely off center. It doesn't look right. So, but like in terms of the head sculpt though, I don't have a problem with them trying something a little bit different with him, kind of making him a little bit kind of more muscular and square jawed and all that kind of stuff, because Duke has had, like, he's had the kind of soft features, he's had the kind of like distinguished gentleman look, and he's had the young guy look, and he's kind of had this like linebacker look as well. And this has got vibes of the Bait 1000 TOYZ head sculpt for me. I think it might be the hairstyle, because they've got the kind of hair on top with the shaved sides and back. Do you remember that one?
I remember the figure, but I can't specifically picture the head in my mind.
You'd take like, it would come off and you had the cyborg thing underneath. But right. It was that one. But
that one was so clearly like almost like an Elseworlds inspired by Duke, but not really intended to be exactly the Duke that you know at all.
They had more freedom to go nuts on that one, definitely.
I don't know. This one, I think back to the 112. We saw Roadblock, right? Roadblock was one of the earlier ones.
Yes. Yeah.
That face sculpt looked really good.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, this one, I don't know. It doesn't, and it could be the paint. It could even be the fact that there's so much red in and around his eyes that his eyes look a little irritated or something.
Yeah, he's been crying the whole time. He's been crying because his eyes are too far apart. But yeah, no, I have to agree with that one. Again, I don't think it's like the worst head sculpt in the world by any means. But it's definitely, I think from your perspective, you're kind of, and not to put words in your mouth, Pat, but from my understanding, you're saying it doesn't feel like Duke to you.
That is correct. It doesn't feel like Duke to me. It feels like another G.I. Joe character, and that's fine. Just not so much Duke.
It's like if they painted what hair color is Captain Gridiron? It's like brunette, isn't he? He's like brown hair. Is he?
Light brown, yeah.
Light brown. They just did a light brown haircut. It could be Captain Gridiron. If that's the kind of head sculpt I could imagine Captain Gridiron having, like an actual football player kind of build and all that kind of stuff, Because this guy, I mean, this dude looks huge. He looks really like a unit, because MEZCO do that same kind of body shape size, and they're all quite stocky. Even the Snake Eyes is really stocky. Anyway, okay. Head sculpts aside, what about all of his gear he comes with? Anything standing out to you?
Honestly, nothing in particular. The helmet, I think that, isn't there a picture of all the gear by itself? The helmet has like a weird beak to it, does it not? Yeah, that's what stood out to me. That's what stood out to me, is that I don't know. I shouldn't say it looks off, because clearly they're trying to make it look like something that's their own.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're really going for the classic look. that I would like them to go for, but they're not. And that's fine. It's always fun to re-envision characters, and they've got a lot going for it. I like the second strap kind of that comes down for his bandolier to
Yeah, that's
actually
pretty neat. Yeah.
something a little bit better. It still looks a lot like Duke since one is so much thicker than the other. Yeah,
So I don't have like there. I don't have a problem. It's really just that one head, I think, that has got the eyes kind of like very oddly painted.
and it might even just be the photography, like the way that came out. It might
True.
look very different in hand.
Speaking of hands, good segue that, Pat. Look at all of them. It's like 500. That's the most hands I think I've seen on a MEZCO figure for G.I. Joe so far. That's a lot of hand. That's handy.
It is.
He's got 3 head sculpts, as we've seen. He's got that kind of like
18 hands then?
Yeah. 13 hands. I don't think. Yeah, 13 interchangeable.
13.
That's a lot of hands.
15. Because I think the 2 that are on him count.
Yeah, but are they not?
It is 3 times 5. Yeah, I don't see those.
It says 13
Unless that
interchangeable, so maybe that means 13 extra.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know.
Ooh.
I was just thinking that it was those hands in addition to the ones that are on him, because the head is 3 heads, right?
Right, correct. No, I see what you're saying. I get it 100%. Yeah, I don't know exactly is the answer to that, but maybe the ones that he's wearing, maybe the hands that he's wearing, maybe the hands that he's wearing are part of that 13 collection on the left hand side. But yeah, he'll probably tell you on the website, which I can't be bothered to check out. It's like this. Yeah, you guys can work it out for me. Rachel
I'm
says,
going to say you're right. It's 13 because why would they say 3 and then say 13? So yeah, it is 13.
Rachel says Duke looks like Will Ferrell to me. He's got a Will Ferrell vibe going on. Brilliant. I can see a lot of Elf kind of customs. I can see Anchorman customs out of this one. It's going to be brilliant. Anyway. Oh, the 2 on him are in the hand pile, says Diana. And Diana's definitely done her research on this Duke figure, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Diana, what do you think? Are you a fan? I did think I see you said something a little earlier. The pupils thing, they are tiny, aren't they? Definitely. It's different, but I don't hate it. Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, well, you're the barometer for Duke, so we'll use you for that. And also, obviously, we've got a lot of kind of accessory like weapons as well. We've got the pistol. We've got clips for the pistol. We've got the knife and sheath, blast effects, rifles, all the usual stuff. Anything standing out to you there?
Well, not standing out. All this stuff looks good, though.
Yeah, it looks nice, doesn't it? The rifles look really good, quite modern. Yeah, looks... Only a lot of decent amount of stuff going on there. So, looks more like John Cena, says Kay. That's another good shout. Just a thick head, isn't it? It's just a big, like, slab of meat of a head. That's what it is. It just reminds me of
the guy that plays Jack Reacher.
Yes. What is his name? Someone let us know in the comments. I've forgotten. But yeah, that's a great shout. I like him.
Yeah,
Probably
I like first season.
We should get him as Duke on the next movie. Pat's like, do not even talk to me about that. Moving on, we have got some other cool stuff. He gets a little scarf as well, which is pretty dope, and it's soft goods, obviously, so you can kind of like have it go on him any way you like. But I do like that addition. That's a nice touch. He's kind of got that desert vibe, hasn't he, Duke?
Maybe a little bit. Here it's coming across, yeah. And he's got like the bedroll. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. He has got a bedroll.
Is that like a foot splash? What is that next to the shovel?
That is a mud splash.
Yeah.
Is that for running?
I guess. I mean, that's an interesting effect accessory.
Alan Rickson. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate it. Is the actor that plays Jack Reacher. Thank you, Darren. Much appreciated. Alan Richson. Yeah, I'm guessing that is just where you put like where you can have them running and it looks like their foot's in the ground in the mud spot. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. The helmet is an interesting one, isn't it? It's got they've got that little lip on, a little visor kind of thing going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the original 82, 83 helmets, but that visor gives it a completely different look. It almost makes me think of Endor.
Yes, that's what it reminded me of. I couldn't place
I don't know why,
it.
because it's not at all the same type of helmet. But
no, but it does have that vibe, 100%. Binoculars, canteen, awesome. I love the little that shovel is foldable as well, so that's pretty awesome. And that walkie-talkie looks dope. It looks like they've done a lot of deep kind of research into kind of like newer modern items, because that walkie-talkie looks proper chunky. I really like it.
It does. That looks good. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's MEZCO Duke talked about. I don't think there's much else to really say there, is a Pat. You can get him on a link in the description, obviously, to pre-order. It is the deluxe version as well, I should probably mention. I don't know what extra he comes with. Diana, what is the extra that he comes with as a deluxe? Is it just a bunch more accessories, or do they specify? Because I have not done my due diligence at all. Mainly because I just haven't had any time to even think, let alone look at things on the internet.
I do like all the photography that they've already done with them. That looks really good.
MEZCO are definitely up there in their product and promo shots, 100%. Yeah. I have to agree with that. And funnily enough, the link that I have on the thing doesn't even work anymore. That's weird. Okay, I'm not going to bother. Anyway, yeah, you can get it. It's just all the gear, says Diana. Okay, good. And yes, we're going to the expert when it comes to Duke, 100%, Ed. Duke Diligence. I like it, Mark. That's genius. Talking Joe in the house. Oh, sorry, I'm going to ignore that. I'm not sure if you heard that, but
I do hear it, yeah.
Brilliant. That means, that doorbell means it's time for the next news segment. It's turned into a game show, this show, hasn't it? Okay, next up then, and this is actually breaking news, sort of. So I don't have a video for it because I didn't have time. But anyway, it is HIYA Toys. There you go. That's the bumper you get for breaking news. Yes, HIYA Toys have revealed their Major Blood exquisite mini G.I. Joe figure, and this one's pretty cool, actually. I wouldn't say they've had some misses, because that would be doing them a disservice, but I was a little concerned about the Flint head sculpt when that was revealed. I was concerned that Lady J might follow suit, but she actually looks all right. There's an issue where like you can't really they've almost like covered her eyes a little bit. Do you remember we had that conversation, Pat?
Yeah.
With the hat.
Yeah.
But this one, I think this is kind of like a return to form almost. What do you think?
I would agree. And I was kind of hoping that I think I actually did say whenever we were looking at the last HIYA figure that I was hoping that we would get Major Blood soon, because I was really hoping that some of the details that we've seen in the painting that were red on the painting would end up red on the HIYA figure, even though they didn't on the 6-inch figure.
Right.
And it looks like that's the case.
Yep, look at that. There's a good shot of the arm as well, like to give you that kind of metal effect. Yeah, I definitely have to agree. Like, this is effectively what HIYA are doing, and it's obvious now, and it's been obvious since day one pretty much. But they're effectively doing all of the kind of, I want to call them evergreen, but they're not. But that was kind of the idea, I guess, wasn't it, early on, to have like an evergreen sort of design aesthetic for G.I. Joe that kind of started with the classified series, followed suit with other kind of things in the line, Operation Blackout, the game, the website, the artwork, all of the kind of promotional and media stuff. There was going to be this sort of like evergreen sort of design thing. And rather than do that to like what the original classified figures were and all that kind of stuff, they've gone into realms of like concept, like deco and artwork on the box and stuff like that, which I really like. I like that. I like that they're doing something that's, you know, similar or the same, let's face it, Beachhead, for example, but then using that, what's the word, like the different deco on the wrists, on the mask and stuff that you see on the back of the artwork. So it's like doing slightly different things with it. And again, they're doing slightly different things with Major Blood here, and I think it's a good idea to do so.
Yeah, it seems like they're going, like, whenever we as fans kind of reacted to all of the initial classified stuff, and some of the waves seemed to quickly adjust to become a little more classic looking, in paint first and then in design and paint later.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we're seeing here, is that the original plans are still being executed just in 4 inches.
Yeah, totally. What you, like? It's clear he's going to come with is pretty much his loadout from the classified figure as well. But it feels like slightly different with the 4-inch figures, because it's like some things that you wouldn't have necessarily expected them to do as secondaries on a 4-inch figure become a secondary on this figure in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like they might be like molded pieces, for example, is what I'm getting at, or they might be like just a holster that clips on rather than the whole strap is a secondary. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that. So I quite like the fact that we're getting these kind of like very detailed 4-inch figures.
Yeah, I'm still curious about the quality. I did buy one maybe 2.5 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And it didn't show up. And, you know, I had to say, hey, where is it? And finally, I just got a refund and was told, hey, you know, they were out of stock. We didn't really have those. So I probably need to call my comic shop or see if there's some way that I can get this through Diamond.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because these are only available in the Asian market, basically. And because of that, it's very difficult to get them anywhere other than like Robot Kingdom.
Well, HIYA's website now says, though, to check Diamond.
Oh,
right?
Brilliant. Okay, maybe there's been a little bit of an update then in that case. That's cool.
Yeah, Patty had sent us information on that.
Well, oh, that's okay. Well, I remember a while ago, like back in, I think it was the first release, I reached out to them, sent them an email, and they responded to say, keep an eye out for Diamond in the future. So we had that information early on. I wasn't aware they kind of...
we did, but last night, whenever this was mentioned, but like Patty mentioned it to both of us. And
sorry, Patty.
Yeah, whenever I clicked on his information, there's actually, or he linked us to the HIYA Toys Facebook thing, and it says check the shop on, and it's HIYAToys.com/pages where to buy. And if you click on that, United States distributor Diamond Comics.
Nice.
And then it even says retailer, Amazon.com, Big Bad Toy Store. So
fantastic. Okay, well that is great. So maybe I see. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's great. That's good to know. I have had no time to look at even posts that Paddy sends us. Sorry, Paddy. Yeah, that's great. That's brilliant stuff, and that's good to know, because it means that a lot of people have been asking me again the kind of same question, like where can we get these? There you go, is the answer. Link is actually on our Facebook page. It's in the description as well to the Facebook post by HIYA. So if you want to click on that and do what Pat just said, find the link where it's where to buy, click on that, and it basically takes you through that, to show you where you can actually get them. Local comic store looks like a good shout, actually, Pat, to try and order those in, or even maybe a local independent toy store.
That's true.
A couple spring to mind, like the Toy Department, Roma Collectibles, In Demand Toys, if you're in the UK. See what they say. See if they can get hold of them. Anyway, I think it looks really good. Without the helmet, it looks pretty dope as well. What are your thoughts on the head sculpt?
This is what I wanted from these. Once they kind of were committed to doing the classified designs in 4-inch, that kind of felt like it was giving these a little more purpose. If it had just been classic stuff again, I don't know, because I know that I don't have any of them yet. Like I said, I tried.
Yeah.
But I really don't think that they're going to fit that well with all the 4-inch stuff that I already have. So they might as well build out something that has its own purpose. And that purpose to me is taking the classified designs and making them 4-inch.
Absolutely.
Which is going to run out, because eventually, the classified stuff is just becoming more classic in design anyway.
Totally. And that's what we talked about. I mean, we kind of discussed what kind of characters you had really left in that kind of old school design kind of style. I think Roblox still hasn't been done. So Roblox are a possibility. And even even Cobra Island Roblox.
You know who I want?
Go for it.
I want the Blackout Bat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that kind of really crazy looking Operation Blackout Battle.
Yeah, because even as a different kind of design style, I think that one actually would, since it's a robot, it's going to work with any of the old 4-inch G.I. Joe.
Totally. Yeah, I have to agree. That's a really good shout, actually. Really do like that. And yeah, again, I think this figure looks phenomenal. Mate, you can't. I find like with Major Blood, especially that classic style and design, you can't really go that wrong with him. Like I loved his Sideshow figure. I loved his classified figure. This one looks really good. Obviously, it kind of becomes more of a personal preference when you start getting into different versions of Major Blood. I personally love the Sonic Fighters of Major Blood. I personally love that version 3. Is it version 3 with the bit on his the thing on his elbow?
Yeah, the spike on his elbow.
Spike.
Yep.
Yeah, that even that's pretty damn cool. Like, and then I really liked the ones they did in the modern 4-inch realm. I really liked the Python Patrol one, even though they didn't paint his tash. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. We were sent his head later.
Yeah, do you remember I remember being in the queue, in wherever hall we were in at that time. And I remember someone coming out and having to yell it at the top of their voice about the situation. And they didn't have the megaphone or anything. Someone just came out and yelled it. I don't think it was Brian. I think it was someone else. And they basically just explained why it hasn't been painted. We'll send you one in the after the fact. And I remember it was just so lo-fi and hilarious. It was just brilliant. Yeah, that was a funny set. But that was a great set. That was the Marauders set as well, wasn't it? That didn't have the sergeant in it.
Yeah.
And the hats, Slaugter's Marauders. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I ended up getting one of those.
The spelling error. Oh, mate, I bet that's worth $2. No, a few dollars. It's literally $2. Anyway, yeah, cool. And isn't it funny that Major Blood hasn't really been? They haven't gone back to that mold at all yet for classified.
I haven't been keeping track of the tooling for classified. Maybe I should do that just for some weird kind of fun that only I would have.
I mean, I guess there's probably parts of him that have been reused.
Yeah, there may be parts here and there.
We haven't seen a Major Blood redeco or something.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool to start, maybe get him in a. Well, the thing is, if it's Python Patrol, he's kind of got to be, he's got to have the grenades on him, hasn't he? Really, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think there's more. Yeah, they've got some clearer shots on kind of lighter backgrounds here, so you can really see the figure a lot clearer here. Those again, lovely production shots. They're promo shots again from most companies that have the license for G.I. Joe are really good. I suppose they all have to try and sell it, don't they?
Yeah, there's that one shot where it's really showing the red on his right hand, where his left wrist is looking pretty weak. But the rest of these I really like.
That one.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Just wanted to make sure it was the right one. We don't have that loadout image as well, but it's pretty clear that he has removable dog tags. He has the secondaries, which are actually secondaries, including the belt and the kind of holster on the right thigh. He's got the big kind of blaster. He's got the removable helmet. He's got the smaller blaster, and he's got the backpack with the little kind of like shells as well. So it's pretty much what you'd expect, with this figure. I don't know, pretty cool. Like it. Will you be getting it? Is the question, Pat?
I'm going to try. It's a little weird that rocket launcher, the one on the rocket launcher, it doesn't have a red tip too. But yeah, I'm going to try to get this. Definitely going to try. I will call. I actually owe that comic shop a phone call for another reason anyway. So I'm going to call and see if that's something they can do if I stop by. I don't know if I'll have to pay ahead or what will happen, but that would be fine.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's what I would say as well is I'm actually surprised at the amount of figures HIYA have been revealing.
Yeah.
It's quite steady. It's quite, it's reasonable amount, but at the same time, it's more than I thought they were going to be revealing.
Yeah, I'm still kind of curious how long this line is going to go and how far they're going to go once we get to that point where a lot of the classified designs are, more classic looking.
I wonder if they'll take it upon themselves to start designing in that sort of style other characters, which I wouldn't be averse to, honestly, especially, well, it depends obviously on what it looked like, what the first one looked like. I might be averse to it if I saw it and it looked hideous. But no, I think it would be kind of cool for them to just, again, do their own thing, but keep it within that, that universe they're kind of creating and building. It'll be funny if they just start bringing out 4-inch figures that are the classic ones, though, Pat.
Yeah, I think I want them to stick with what they're doing.
Defo. Sorry, multitasking. Oh, cool. Skybound have posted something. That's neat. All right, I'll check that out. Thank you, Diana. Right then. Okay, so that's it for the news this week. Obviously, we've got one more little thing to talk about, which will be in the shout-outs. We'll get to that right now. And Pat and I are going to discussing a little bit of the Super 7 mothership. So let's get into shout-outs.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
A few people saying that the Major Blood classified figure was effectively the Cobra Trooper body with a new right arm and head. Yeah, what I was getting at, guys, I wasn't getting at the reuse of parts, which is obviously something that happens regular basis. And I did mention that when we were talking about it. What I mean is we haven't seen Major friggin' Blood repainted, is what I'm saying. Does that understood? Do we get it?
I think that it'd be neat if they used the new Major Blood parts along with something other than the classified Trooper to, just make a different version of Major Blood, like maybe the yellow and blue one, which was the fun school one.
Yes,
you
love that one. That's your favorite Blood, isn't it?
No, I don't think so, but I like it. I don't have one. I would like to have a fun school blue and yellow Major Blood. Did you
bring that one up for the monthly when we talked foreign?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did.
It's a cracker, man. I love it. It's just such a bonkers deco as well for like for Blood, but I think in a more kind of subdued tone, it could make a lot of sense. But I do love that. I do love what Fun School do. It's just bonkers. I love that. Anyway, my favorite is probably. Oh, that's a tough one. What's my favorite Major Blood?
There's not a lot of them.
I'm just thinking version-wise. We're going to ruin our version therapy, aren't we, for a Major Blood?
The direct-to-consumer one's pretty nice, actually.
It is, yeah. It is pretty cool. I do like the modern Python Patrol, I think. The modern 4-inch Python Patrol with no tash. Anyway, specifically with no tash. He shaved it for that one day. Right then. Next, shout-outs, buddy. What are your shout-outs? I think you know.
Shout out, as always, to Philip. We are still working on something for the month. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I've got a busy month ahead, And then I'm also kind of prepping for assembly required.
I wish I was.
Yeah, so I'm kind of tied up as far as being busy goes. I don't know if you can tell by my voice today that sleep was weird last night, all because of how busy I am.
Yeah, don't worry. I feel your pain in a major, major blood way. Yeah, that's cool. Shout out to Phil, Pat. Shout out to you. Sorry you've been away as well for so bloody long. It's been far too long that you've been not doing the show, and yeah, it's I feel complete now. You complete me.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be back on. I really am. Yeah, it was it was difficult whenever I wasn't on and the topic of O-ring figures came up. I was sad.
There you go. Good segue.
That was my segue. I was hoping you would get that.
Let's talk Super 7 for a bit. First off, you want to shout out the early bird, right?
I do, because if you look at their website, this is going to be the last week that we will talk about it on the weekly, and there is still time to get in for the parachutes if there is enough funding in time for the parachutes, as I understand it, right? Because doesn't it have to hit 4,000?
Yeah.
And then anyone who is ordered by the 22nd, which is Sunday, 22nd by 11:59 p.m. I'm assuming Pacific.
That is correct. I'm just double checking to see where it's at, which is annoying because I had it ready and for some reason deleted, got rid of the page I was on. I don't know why. This always happens to me. So personally, I have to say I'm not 100% sure they'll get there, but we are at 1180, and that has gone up quite dramatically since I last checked it, which was only yesterday. So 1,100 in Diagnostik80. That's not bad.
You need to click refresh because I just looked at it and it says 1250.
Okay. Mine literally did refresh. Maybe it's moving rapidly as we speak to try and get that. Yeah, it says 1250. Is it moving that fast?
I don't know.
I literally refreshed, and that's what I got on my screen. There was nothing on there, and it refreshed and came up with 1180. Oh, I was happy to make a Diagnostik80 pun there as well. Damn it. Okay. Yeah, 1250. That's not bad. I'm not sure though. We've got today, tomorrow, and then Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I'm thinking that these parachutes aren't going to happen. I'm concerned about the project. I do like what they're presenting.
Oh God, mate!
I put on my nitpick helmet from my my mask action figure. And I have things to say, if I were to say a lot, we don't need to go into the details. Overall, I like the attitude of the project. I like what they're bringing to the table. I like the idea of the figure packs at $15 a figure.
Yeah.
At least that's better than what we've been getting from some other things. It's better than a $20 5 POA. But yeah, I'm concerned that it may not happen.
However, 500 since yesterday, says Darren. I think it was. I checked yesterday, and it wasn't even in the thousands. So
yeah,
maybe it's moving.
Yeah, so I could see some people feeling a little left out if they get theirs but don't get the parachutes. So I did want to shout this out because you have until Sunday. And I think that the way this works is different than a HasLab where you get billed at the end of the campaign. I'm pretty sure that the way this one works is you get billed as soon as you add it to cart and check out. And then if it doesn't fund, you get the money back. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know the details on that one, actually. I do know that you can do 4 interest-free installments as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll need to do that because I haven't signed up for it yet.
I think this thing's gorgeous. I think it's amazing. I think it's so much friggin' fun. It's massive. I got to say though, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the figures because it's just the same one over and over again, right? So like, it's cool and all, but like the Viper kind of gunner thing. I like, and again, I also like it when they do their own little thing and create new little, troops or characters or whatever. I do like that. But this one, I don't know, it doesn't feel as special to me. It would have been cool if they'd have done some sort of like specific pilot for it, where they maybe had the same deco, like, or some sort of tied in deco with, the actual like vehicle itself. I don't know what that would really entail, but they kind of do. They give you a bit of a, especially that one on the left? Does it give you a bit of Battlecore Viper vibes?
Sure. I was actually kind of thinking that the helmet just reminded me of maybe Sunbow Ace or something, maybe a Ripcord or somebody, and then
like generic pilot helmet sort of thing, isn't it?
Generic pilot helmet, yeah, and clearly some of the legs that they have on there are actually the bat legs, which I'm sure the whole thing is inspired a little bit by the Vipers from 1997 on up. I don't know. I think that a lot of this is the same argument that we've had whenever we've talked about O-ring stuff and the 4-inch stuff coming from the club whenever it was. It's that instead of giving us something that we wanted for a long time, they're doing something different.
Yeah.
And I actually think that the airship is a neat idea. The execution is definitely there. The mothership execution, I think that it's there as far as what features and everything is in this ship. Because it's not just a big hunk of plastic. It seems very feature heavy throughout each station and part of it. I think that I could have this and have a lot of fun looking at it. But the figures, like the rifle is clearly inspired by the Viper rifle, but they've turned the laser sight into a grenade launcher. They turned the foregrip into like a second ammo clip. There's some oddness. It doesn't look like these will mesh that perfectly with the old stuff. And that's what I would like.
We all know what you would like.
That's true.
I've got to say that I think you're right. The features on this thing are actually really fun. And I did have an interview with Brian the other day. It's going to be difficult to get out this weekend, unfortunately. So it'll probably have to come out after the early bird has happened. So I think we even talk about the early bird on the video. So if that's going to be completely, I'm either going to cut that out or it's going to be sitting there kind of oddly too late for that situation. But we had a really good candid chat. Brian was very honest about his kind of like feelings and his thoughts about the whole thing. So I think it's a good interview in that sense. I think you guys will enjoy it. And he's kind of excited for the project, but at the same time, I think he feels the same kind of concerns that we are in terms of the whether it's going to fund or not. The other thing I would say as well is I brought it up with him. I said price point. I think that's going to be one of the things that most people struggle with. And it's one of those things where, he even said it himself, people are not collecting in the same volume as they were, even in 2020, even like during COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like there was a huge inflow. There was a massive rise in the way things were purchased during COVID. And they were doing really well and Hasbro were doing really well for what they could actually do in the situation. And because of that, it's kind of skewed a little since, it's gone the opposite direction. And we don't have, then especially with the amount of stuff that's available for the brand. If you're a G.I. Joe fan, there is so much for you to just, if you're a 4-inch fan, you've got some stuff. If you're a 3 3/4, you've got some stuff. If you're a 6-inch, you've got probably too much stuff. If you're a 12-inch collector, you've got some. It's like everything is being catered for to some degree, but it is so like there's no way. It's just so difficult to be like a completist of a brand. You can't be a completist of a brand right now. Do you know what I mean? It's just insane,
right?
Unless it's the Visionaries or something. You can be if it's the Visionaries or Mask or Bucky O'Hare, you should be okay in terms of completing collections. But if it's G.I. Joe, Transformers, there's a lot of Transformers, Marvel, forget about it. Star Wars even, my goodness. Anyway, So, like, in terms of that, Pat, are you backing this?
I intend to. Yeah, I just, I put everything in my cart, and it's what Diana said is a good way of putting it. It's a hard thing to have to think twice about.
Totally.
And I put it in my cart, and it was like $800. And it's just like, because it's not just the ship. I'm going to want the figure packs as well.
Yeah.
So those aren't, they're nice, but they're not cheap. And really what my hope is that if it doesn't fund, that there's a plan that they could maybe put into effect to still do something with O-rings or something else. I mean, clearly they've put a lot of money and time into developing this. So I really hope for the best for them, and I do intend to support it. I just am a little bit curious to see if that's going to happen.
Well, you'd be happy to know he does talk about the O-ring stuff, and like, not necessarily future plans, but he explains what the situation is regarding that. So I'll let you guys obviously catch that when it goes out, as soon as I can get it done. There's a bit of a snag. I'm away this weekend, so it's going to be difficult for me to do any work on it, but I will try and get it out as soon as possible. And then once I've spoken to Brian, and that's out there, we'll be getting the Hasbro guys back on again. So it's like one after the other. We've got more coming. We've got more interviews ahead. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be lots of cool stuff to chat about. Anyway, okay, Pat, that was a good actual little chat there about that. I've got to say though, I think it's amazing. I think this is so much fun. I love all the little features. The little door opens up and the little bombs.
Like whenever I saw the way that the door opens, yet the Cobra logo stays there, that's just awesome.
It's neat. It's so neat. And the little ramp at the back looks so dope when that's down and all the troops flowing out. Trouble Bubbles can sit in that space. You've got the prison in there. What playset would be complete without a prison? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's so G.I. Joe, yeah. And it looks like it's so similar to the one in the Terrordrome design wise. It does look like it fits with Cobra. I love
the fact they've got like chains that clip to the wrist as well on the wall.
Yeah. So
dope. And all those little stations for all the figures to kind of sit in. And I think it's great. Sorry, Ropig John said, I think you should interview one of the designers, Diagnostik80. I'd love to. I'll see if Brian allows us to do so. Well, I'm sure he's not very strict, let's face it. But Brian's very open, and he does a lot of this stuff himself. But yeah, I'll see if there's a possibility to do so. Is Pat at a booth for assembly required, says Sherlock?
I am not locked into any particular booth. I will probably be helping Brian Kaufman setting up with his stuff, but his booth isn't very big, so at assembly required is what he's used to doing. So I you may be able to find me at the Joe Declassified booth as well, or just wandering around.
You'll be able to find Pat at any point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be doing it. I'm going to be more helping on the declassified panel than putting it entirely,
together.
What I'm saying is that while the work has been in the past more 50-50, this time it's definitely, I'm leaning more upon Chris Murray to do a lot more of it this year. So I will be there and in the panel and also on the floor.
Good luck.
And at the declassified booth. So.
Good luck if you're relying on Chris Murray to do anything. I'm kidding. I love him. Shout out to Chris Murray. Shout out to Joe Declassified and to Assembly Required, which we'll be talking about in a moment. Shout out to the fam as well. All in the UK, all in the US, everyone. Big shout out. Kate and Phoebes as well. Love you guys very much. Massive shout out to Brian Sauer and his amazing graphics. Brian, we need fall graphics. I'm just going to use last year's fall graphics. Is that okay, everyone? Does anyone mind if we just use the Chuckles fall graphics? I'm going to do that. Do you mind, Pat?
I don't mind.
Okay. It saves Brian working then, doesn't it? For when he's got to be doing stuff for Assembly Required.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of which, that's what we just talked about. 3rd and the 4th of Nov. I've actually got a little project running. I won't be there, but I've got a little project going to appear at Assembly Required. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Pat is like so confused right now. I'll tell you afterwards, mate.
But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to I don't know, for you guys to find out what it is. I'm trying not to give it away by saying something.
I'm wondering if you did give it away, so I'll have my guesses after we're on.
And of course, we've got this to read out. Yes, an all points bulletin from the FBI. High priority alert to authorities in the upper Midwest area. The Dreadnoks appear to have bolstered their ranks by making a brief stop to visit a few friends in Leavenworth, Kansas. That's sarcasm. They broke their fellow gang members out of prison for Pete's sake. A security guard who witnessed the escape says the assortment of freed felons includes a poacher, a pirate, and a poetry-sprouting monster of a man named Road Pig. Is this a joke? The flat-topped ogre reportedly quoted Shakespeare shouting, "What light through yonder window breaks?" prior to throwing a cinder block through the windshield of a prisoner transport van. Seems someone made us use the prison library. This escalation suggests the criminals are preparing for a large presence at Assembly Required in Des Moines, Iowa on November 3rd and 4th. I do love these little all points bulletins. That's quite fun. I've also just realized how hilarious the Dreadnoks are. And we should start with what we should do the next monthly. We should talk about what type of person needs to join the Dreadnoks. You know, like as in a poacher, a pirate, that kind of thing. Like, what else would make sense in a Dreadnok scenario? That would be a fun episode, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be fun. It's so never what I was expecting.
Yeah, but they always, for me, they made sense. Like, a pirate in the Dreadnoks makes sense to me, but I never would have thought about it. A poacher makes sense, but I never would have thought about it. So
yeah, I never would have thought about that either.
They're great, man. And yeah, I can't wait to see what Norgahide and his wild boar look like. Wow, they're going to be amazing. Anyway, that's the FBI All Points Bulletin for Assembly Required. Also, big shout outs to WordBurglar for the Spinner Rack EP, which is now up on Spotify and what else is it on? iTunes Music and all those kind of places. You can kind of get it pretty much anywhere now. It's on streaming services, is what I should say. So yeah, go check that out. I've got the most surreal playlist on my Spotify account, which is music I've made. Isn't that crazy, Pat?
Yeah, that is crazy.
And it's like a lot of songs. Thanks to the WordBurglar and other collaborations I've done in the past. I've got about like 12 or something songs on there. That's nuts to me. Published music. Anyway, yeah, go check out the Spinner Rack EP. My track on there with WordBurglar is Remember the Fan Base, and it's a banger. Anyway, they always are. Great shout out to WordBurglar. Love you, man. And yeah, go get it. Go check it out. Links in the description as well, too. And of course, that brings us to the end of the episode. Pat, thank you, buddy, for coming back.
Thanks for having me back on. I really appreciate it.
Pat Street's back. All right. Yeah, we should have had music for that, shouldn't I? Guys, thank you so much for all the comments, for all of the support, for everything. Really appreciate all that you guys do for us. I did an Intel Patreon episode this morning. So if you're if you're one of our patrons and you weren't aware, you can go check that out later on the replay. If you're a patron, obviously. If you're Red Shadow Army and SAS patron, you can jump on and check that out. We talked about an hour and a half. It was crazy. So I've been busy boy today. We've got more in the pipeline for you. Lots more stuff to come. Let's talk Classified Torch, if I can pull my finger out and actually get it done. An interview with Brian Flynn, of course, from Super 7, and lots more cool stuff around the corner. Stay fresh cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do, Pat. I think. It's been a while, though. Do you remember?
I'll try to remember. Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing is that whenever I wasn't on and I was listening, it was weird to me when you got to this point because it's like, it's just one person. Or whenever it was you and Mark, it's like, it's just 2 people. And whenever I'm on, I can hear everybody. But I can't. But it feels like I can, which is so weird.
It feels like you can hear the entire comment section. It feels like I
can hear everybody. Yeah, the comment section and everybody join in. But then when I watch it, as a pre-recorded, I only hear 1 or 2 people, and that's weird.
Or just me. It's because I yell it so loud, probably in your ears. Yeah. That's probably what happens. Anyway, yeah, you know what to do. After 3, guys. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
Okay, bye. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.